The Acceltra has been a staple of making Grenier and Corpus alike shit their pants since it was added to the game along with Gauss in 2019, and for good reason. I mean, come on, it's a fully automatic rocket launcher and it's crit based, which means big red numbers to tickle our simple monkey brains. And with a mastery requirement of only 8 for the normal version, you can start chasing this dopamine rush relatively early into the game. For this video, I'm going to go over a few different builds for different stages of the game, ranging from first unlocking the weapon to soloing Netrocells and other in-game content with it. But first, I want to start with some general info about the weapon. So the number one thing to keep in mind with the Acceltra is going to be its ammo consumption. This is mostly due to the weapon itself, but also because we're Warframe players and I know your ass is going to get carried away with it. The best way to deal with this though is going to be to use the Carrier Sentinel with the ammo case mod, because that's going to keep you mostly topped up on ammo, but there's still going to be some instances where you run out, and that's where the Exilus mod on the weapon comes in handy. On top of that, the Sweeper Prime allows you to run the Vigilante mods, which the set bonus will give you a chance to enhance critical hits from the primary. So if the Acceltra hits a yellow crit, there's a chance it'll be orange. If it hits an orange crit, there's a chance it'll be red, and so on. Pretty much any time I'm going to be running a primary-based build, I'm going to have Carrier with the Sweeper and the Vigilante mods on there. So the next thing to keep in mind is that the Acceltra is a projectile weapon, and the projectiles are relatively slow. So you are going to have to kind of lead your shots if you are shooting enemies further away, but you can also use mods to speed up the projectile, but you'll get used to that pretty quick. Alright, so let's get into the builds. So for the first build, this is going to be your starter build for when you first unlock the weapon. I don't think this is too much for a Mastery Rank 8 player or someone around there to have these mods. Just basic Serration, Split Chamber, Point Strike, Vital Sense, normal crit damage mods, Elemental mods, and then Vigilante armaments, which you get from Cetus bounties. So this is just going to be a really simple viral heat, and that's going to be really effective against like pretty heavily armored Grenier and stuff, which are generally going to be the hardest enemy you face anyways, and if you can kill those, you'll be able to kill everything else. And you can see I don't have any arcanes or anything else on here, and all of the testing and examples I do is going to be with no Warframe buffs, nothing like that, just going to be with that Sentinel buff that I have. But yeah, so let's show how this does. I have some level 100 non-steel path corrupted enemies. So these are going to be pretty much as difficult of enemies as you're going to face on like normal star chart stuff. And you're going to see, just going to group them up with my operator real quick. This is going to tear them up pretty quickly. Nothing special here. You might need to put a couple extra shots into these bigger guys. But yeah, this build is going to get you pretty comfortably through pretty much the entire star chart. Here, I'll spawn him back in one more time. Even shoot at him without grouping him up. Just see how it does. But yeah, as far as just killing pretty much anything you come across and like normal star chart missions, this is going to do pretty good. These are, like I said, level 100 corrupted enemies. Pretty much the highest you're going to see in that scenario. So next we have a bit later game build. So by this point you're probably getting into Steel Path. You've got some better mods on here now. You can see we've got some corrupted mods, some 60/60 mods. Still not any arcane or galvanized mods or anything yet. But the big thing here is we've got Hunter munitions on here now, which means we're going to be transitioning to a slash build instead of just a straight up damage / heat build like the last one. And you'll notice actually that we are a bit lower here on the damage, actually a good amount lower. But you'll see pretty quickly if you're not familiar with how these viral / Hunter munitions builds go, you'll see this is a pretty fair amount stronger than that other one. So now I've got, not only are they 25 levels higher, but I've got the Steel Path modifier on. Oops, let's clear that out. So these are going to be significantly tankier than those last enemies. These are going to be about normal-ish kind of Steel Path enemies that you're going to see on like standard Steel Path star chart. So yeah, let's see how it does against them. Come up with the operator. You can see it's taking them out pretty quickly. Same thing as last time. Might need to give the big guys a couple extra shots. But yeah, usually as long as we just let those slash procs do their work, they'll kill everything pretty quick. Let's do it one more time. Not group them up this time. Again, just kind of let the slash procs do their work as we shoot at stuff, and it should all just die eventually. Maybe give a couple extra shots to the big guys. But yeah, there you go. Alright, and finally we've got the in-game Giga Chad, Big Boy, Super Mega build. This is the build that I personally run. Now, if you don't have a Riven, it's totally fine. The weapon's got a super low disposition anyway, so unless it's like a perfect Riven, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. You can always just swap out the Riven for like a Bane mod, or even just Serration again or something. Since we have Merciless on there, you don't really need Serration on there anyways. But yeah, at this point it doesn't really matter too much. I have Toxin on the Riven, so if you do get rid of the Riven and put a Bane or Serration on there, drop this Thermite rounds for Toxin, so that you still keep viral. But yeah, otherwise it works pretty much the same as this build. Just viral damage to multiply the damage of the slash procs from 100 munitions. But just kind of everything to the max, really squeeze as much DPS out of it as possible. Now, the Acceltra is not the highest damage weapon. It's really going to be best for like clearing lower level enemies or like fodder enemies or stuff. It's really not going to be what you use to kill like Void Angels and Acolytes and stuff. But for killing those low level enemies and killing big groups and stuff, it's really great, super convenient, and it's really, really good, especially with like a weapons platform frame like Gauss, the frame he was introduced with. So for this, I'm just going to show you this build plus level 150 Steel Path Heavy Gunners. And I'm just going to run my Gauss abilities on there too, group them up with my little guy, get them all nice and clumped, and boom, deleted. Just give him a sec till I'll die from the slash procs. Oh, it's great, isn't it? Kill off the stragglers, I guess. But yeah, it's a super solid weapon, and the AoE is similar to a lot of the later game Incarnon weapons and stuff. I find it to be a lot more useful though, even though it does way less damage just because you don't have to mess with charging it up and all that gimmick and all that. It's just a really super convenient weapon to just run around and blast shit with. And I honestly just find myself using it like 90% of the time unless I need a very specific weapon for something else. But yeah, like I said, it's also best paired with like a weapons platform type build. Now, obviously, this isn't exactly a low investment Gauss build or anything, but it's nothing too crazy really. And it's honestly just perfect for running with his signature weapon. It's one of the few signature weapon and Warframe combos that I think is just like perfect in this game. But yeah, anyone like Gauss, Wisp, Mirage, anyone that's a weapons platform is going to be great to use the Acceltra on. But yeah, really it's a super solid weapon, really fun to use, great for clearing rooms, lower level enemies. It might not kill Void Angels and stuff the fastest, but still basically my favorite primary, and I hope you guys enjoy these builds, and I hope you guys are able to get a lot of use out of them. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys take care.